Manila Clasico comeback.
We'll also take a look at the top-performing rookies in the PBA Commissioner's Cup. And we'll also talk about the matchup between the Choco Mucho Flying Titans and the Chery Tiggo crossovers in the PVL Reinforced Conference. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Well, the competition is heating up in the ongoing PBA Commissioner's Cup, and the recent Manila Clasico between Barangay Ginebra and the Magnolia Hotshots was one for the record books. Now, joining us to talk more about the big games over the weekend, is PBA Rush anchor, Mr. Shoot First himself, Mikey Reyes. Mikey, what's naman?
Okay naman. Exciting PBA games yesterday.
For sure. Of course, Manila Clasico is always exciting.
Of course it was. And syempre, it was different for many reasons. Kasi for the first time in 3 years, nanalong Ginebra kontra sa Magnolia. And in a way that was exciting kasi that fourth quarter in particular was special.
That's crazy to think though, first and foremost, that in 3 years, Ginebra didn't win over Magnolia, knowing that Ginebra has been successful in a lot of, the conferences that passed. But, when you get into a Manila Clasico, kung may bilog ang bola, walang mas bilog pa pag Manila Clasico ang laro. So, it was exciting. Magnolia coming in with a perfect record, while as Ginebra, alam mo kasi yung Ginebra, medyo bumibuelo yan eh.
Right.
Every conference bumibuelo yan eh, diba?
Oh.
Tapos magpipeak sila at the right time. That's just the experience. And of course, the championship pedigree of a team like Ginebra. So you were just waiting for them to peak.
Ano mo masasabi ko lang, nasa team ko na signature yung bumubuelo eh. As someone who has followed it in a different...
Alam mo yan, Pao eh.
From very close range, I'm telling you right now, bumubuelo talaga yung mga coach team ko teams.
And talking about buelo, 15-point comeback yung ginawa ng Ginebra in that game.
Papasok ko ng conference, ang tumitingin dyan, yung mga teams na unang kalaban nila Ginebra.
Yeah.
Kasi malamang
swerte.
flat yan. Kaya rain or shine this conference.
But let's talk about one player in particular sa Ginebra. I mean, Tim Cone, high praises on this guy as always. Sabi niya, I see the big J in Scottie Thompson. What can you say with that, Mike? That's a huge statement.
Well, I've covered Scottie since college. He was the MVP, of course. And coming into the PBA, it was always a big question as to how he will bring that game to Ginebra. And every game, every conference, every year, it seems like he's just getting better and better, whether it be his offense, his shooting, his facilitating skills, his leadership.
Yeah.
And I think now, for more so na maraming kwento sa akin si Coach Olsen na medyo nahihirapan sila to get out the dog in Scottie na magti-take over siya. It's great to see him really put his foot down and say, this is my team, this is my time, and I'm gonna step up.
Yeah, and he has been compared to a lot of greats. So, actually, a few months ago, sabi ng Coach Tim Cone, parang Johnny E. Wow, si Scottie. So,
Johnny E, tas Big J.
Oo, so, all the J's are going his way. Pero it's interesting kasi amongst the locals, he didn't necessarily have the most impressive stat line. 18 and 14 for Jamie Malone. So, we have to give credit for him, especially with a guy adjusting to yung bagong sistema ni Coach Tim Cone, who said that he just implemented it that game. Pero, what was so special about Scottie Thompson na people said that siya yung player of the game?
Kasi si Scottie Thompson, I believe he's the relatable one. He's the relatable. As great as Jamie Malone is, Pinoys don't put dunk shows on. Like, you don't really care. Diba, konti lang yung talagang ganun. With Scottie kasi those rebounds, the energy, mga drive niya, yung crossover niya, and then the dropping off, yung mga pasa niya kay Christian Stanhardinger, I think that's the difference.
Parang magnified yung lahat
kasi,
na ginagawa niya.
Alam mo yun, gusto panoorin ng Pinoy, yun yung larong Pinoy.
And you know one thing I really admire, as a player, nakikita ko kay Scottie Thompson, the numbers might not be there all the time, pero the way his motor goes for like 30-40 minutes, di siya napapagod. Pag pagod na yung iba, siya go pa rin eh.
Hindi rin yung, that's the motor obviously, but it's really the humility as well. Being an MVP already, being someone that, looked upon, parang he's just letting the game come to him. If I don't need to score 20 today, then I'm not going to score 20 as long as we get the win.
Itong si Scottie, again, with the comparisons with the Big J, I always looked online to see, are the comparisons real? I think yung charisma, yung dyan nakukulang si Scottie kasi grabe talaga yung charisma ni Robert Jaworski back in the
Pero
day.
hindi vlogger si Robert Jaworski.
Ay, alam mo, wala pa yata vlog dati eh.
Vlogger si Scottie.
Pero kung may vlog na nun, viral siguro.
May vlog yun! Oh, that's true. Anyway, Anyway, let's talk really quickly first about the other matchup that day. Siyempre, San Miguel holding off the NX Road Warriors, and it was an important win kasi this is the first win with their new import. Itong si Devon Scott, their first win since losing Junmar, which obviously was a big deal. Gaano ka-importante to in the grand scheme of things, especially in the race to make it to the playoffs in a good seed?
Well, I don't want to underestimate the heart of a champion, obviously. Ayaw natin gawin yun. But we all know how dominant Junmar Fajardo is. Pero if you look back, they're not as dominant in a Commissioner's Cup or a Governor's Cup compared to an All-Filipino because for obvious reasons. Pero yung collective effort nitong San Miguel, they'll have to look upon that because you can't really replace Junmar with one guy.
Right.
I mean, the generational talent.
I think there will always be an adjustment pag nawawala si Junmar. I mean, you can't just flip the switch right away. But talking about someone who flipped the switch, sabi ni Vic Manuel, it's tough to, fill in the gap that Junmar, lost.
Yeah.
With Vic Manuel scoring 22 points off the bench, what can you say about his performance?
Well, yun ang kagandahan kay Vic Manuel. He's always been a go-to guy, especially
Right.
his time with Alaska, his time with Phoenix. And what's great with Vic Manuel, even though he deferred to, obviously, Junmar Fajardo when he first came into San Miguel, alam mo na, it's just instilled in him na kaya ko rin bumuhat dito if kakailanganin,
Yeah.
It's not something maybe he was expecting nung pumunta siya sa San Miguel, but now, di ba, kailangan niyang gawin. So, well, kaya nga binabayaran. Di ba?
Yeah, we also have to shout out itong si Marshall Lasseter who scored 18 points in that first quarter. And really, overall, great game for him. Pero the big question is, even with this win under their belt, can San Miguel Beer hold on without Junmar Fajardo? Kasi syempre, we all know, no secret, San Miguel revolves around the sun that is Junmar Fajardo. But even when he got injured, they got rid of the other import because they got him to fit Junmar.
Yeah.
Without Junmar, they need someone else.
Well, it's gonna be tough. It's really gonna be tough, especially talking about Justin Brownlee. Obviously, is one of the most sanay na sa basketball.
Right.
The experience is there. Nick Rakocevic is also a great import. You talk about TNT, also with Cameron Oliver. So it's gonna be tough, but we'll see what Devon Scott can do. He got one win. Hopefully, it's all the way up for him.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see.
Well, we'll have you still after the break. We'll find out which rookie stood out so far in the PBA's Commissioner's Cup. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
Welcome back. You're watching The Game. Preparations are ramping up for the country's hosting of the FIBA Basketball World Cup next year. The Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas held a 2-day detailed planning workshop in Clark, Pampanga to prepare for the quadrennial event that will take place on August 25 to September 10, 2023. Through the SBP, headed by Chairman Emeritus Manny V. Pangilinan and President Al S. Panlilio, the Philippines will spearhead the hosting honors with Japan and Indonesia for the 19th edition of the FIBA Basketball World Cup. The event is expected to bring together 32 world qualifiers from FIBA continental zones of Africa, Asia, Europe, and Oceania, led by the defending champion, Spain. The event will also serve as a qualifying tournament to the 2024 Paris Olympics. Now, we can't wait to see what comes out of this important planning session in preparation for the FIBA Basketball World Cup.
Now let's get back to more PBA action. The league has a plethora of seasoned veterans, but there are a bunch of new faces building names for themselves this conference. Still with us to talk about the standout rookies of the Commissioner's Cup is PBA Rush anchor Mikey Reyes. Now basically the race this conference is basically between Gian Mamuyak and Tyler Tio.
Talaga? Sila lang ba?
When you talk about the rookies, I mean, how have they been performing, Mike's, this conference in the PBA?
I think one thing that you have to do to be able to perform, especially at this level, is to be able to adjust to the system and the coach. And I think that's the one thing they've done well.
Right.
Kaya sumunod na lang itong mga great performances nila. But between Coach Topex and Tyler, you see that coach-player interaction, that coach-player relationship na talagang in-embrace na ni Coach Topex as one of his sons, si Tyler Tio. As for Gian Mamuyak, it was an adjustment.
Yeah.
Natakot siya nung una kay Coach Yeng, but now you see na slowly nakukuha na niya.
Alam mo, we're all scared of Coach Yeng.
Lahat.
Okay? Lahat tayo. I mean, like, my favorite thing to do when calling a Coach Yeng game is be quiet and just listen to him from the other side of the court.
Pero let's make this fun. I'm sure you two watch a lot of PBA. Who do you think?
You know what? Ito si Tyler Tio, I think he's the obvious choice. To be completely frank, si Tyler Tio. Pero syempre, it's not just going to be these two because we're only basing on this conference. Pero if you look at it at the end of the season, Jegs, I think you'll agree, itong si Justin Arana, si Ato Olar, and Sorano, baka at the end of the day, they might have a shout.
Maybe sa rookie team.
Yeah,
That's right.
for sure.
And sa Philippine Cup, I think it's also counted when they, check the Rookie of the Year. But let's shift our focus back to Tyler Tio. Basically, I saw some numbers on social media and it's facts. Basically, Tyler Tio is the #1 shooter when it comes to going off screens. He's #1. No one tops him.
Oh, parang Mikey Reyes lang daw.
Parang Mikey Reyes. Pero kay Tyler na shoot.
Kay Tyler na shoot eh. Di naman #1 tumitira.
Okay.
Pero one conversation we can go to with here. Gian Mamuyak and Tyler Tio, both from Ateneo. Back in the UAAP, medyo, they didn't have these numbers. But are you surprised na they're actually dominating basically here in the PBA?
If you watch Tyler as a high school kid, grade school kid, you know that he could score. He just had to, fill that system, that backup point guard spot to Matt Nieto and of course SJ Belangel when he was with Ateneo. For Gian, ito yung parang talagang na-develop niya yung offense niya. And what's great with these two players is because they played in a system wherein they weren't the man. They weren't the go-to guys. So they will just, let the game flow, let the game come to them. But looking at these two guys, for Gian or Tyler, who do you think is easier to stop? Shouldn't it be Tyler? Because with Coach Yeng's, with Coach Yeng's, everybody has their chance.
Equal opportunity.
Alam mo, it's interesting because I actually had a conversation with Tyler about how people try to stop him. Kasi naramdaman na niya that ever since that Ginebra game in particular, where they won, by the way, when he suddenly saw Jamie Malonzo in front of him, he thought that things might be different from this point on. And I think they have to be, Jegs.
Well, I agree. With Tyler, I think eventually he's gonna have to adjust. Dati, nag-under pa. Why would he go under?
He's the focus of the
under
defense.
on Tyler Tio. Ngayon, tinatrap na siya.
So, ikaw yung magiging focus ng defense. Tyler would be one of those because, obviously JV Mocon, Sean Anthony, but Tyler Tio has been kay Coach Yeng kasi.
And also, nakwento rin ni Tyler na dito sa PBA, if you compare it to the UAP, you have to study. PBA, full-time.
Full-time ka na eh.
Makaka-extra work na siya buong araw and then it's showing now in the PBA.
How about kay Gian? Do you think Gian is tougher to stop? Because he doesn't even start sometimes.
I think the only difference, two-way to si Gian.
Two-way.
Two-way.
Ang galing dumipensa. If you watch him live.
Sabi ko kay Anton, he's like a Pinoy Kawhi. the way he uses
why?
his
Wala lang
his
siguro yung mga, yung braso.
wala.
Wala yung length. Oo.
Yung length.
Tapos
Hawaiian
normal yung tawa
leather.
niya.
Asian, ganun.
Oo.
Asian prince.
Right.
That's
edad
true.
natin eh.
Asian Prince. Okay, pero itong si Gian Mamuyak, alam mo, since mas two-way siya, doesn't that make an argument stronger for him, Mike?
Exactly.
Over a Tyler Deal?
Pwede.
Kasi nga, because of Tyler, you basically already know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get. I'm not
Points,
taking
assists.
anything away from what Tyler's doing, pero shooting niya, yung point
Right,
guard skills niya.
right.
Kay Gian, with one more conference remaining, who's tougher to scout? Si Gian. Kasi hindi mo na alam anong gagawin mo kay Gian. Si Tyler, sige, blitz natin, let him release the basketball. Now, we're talking about 3 conferences here.
Yeah.
Right now,
May
it could
isa
be
pa.
Tyler,
May
pero
isa
may
pa.
isa pa na
Right.
baka mas-scout palalo si Tyler.
Alam mo, my question here now is that who would you change your defense for? Gian or Tyler? Especially with all of the other materials that each team have. But that's very detailed, and let's not get into that muna. Pero we mentioned the honorable mentions here, and right now it looks like a 2-horse race, at least at this moment. Amongst the guys we mentioned, si Aranya, Encho Sarano, Atolar, even to a lesser extent si Brandon Ganuelas-Rosser. Sino sa palagay mo yung pwedeng, who can break into that conversation later on?
It's gonna be Arana. It's gonna be Arana, especially with Coach Alvin coming in, with of course Coach Danny I being there. It's gonna be Arana.
And I think it's also tough because import conference,
Yeah.
so the bigs will not get their usual touches compared to the Philippine Cup.
Mikey, thank you very much for joining us in what has been surprisingly one of the most intelligent basketball discussions we've had on
Surprisingly.
this show. Oo, nagulat ako, seryoso. But I'm very happy about it. Mikey, maraming salamat.
Thanks, Mike.
So, after the break, we'll break down that face-off between the Choco Mucho Flying Titans and the Chery Tiggo Crossovers in the PVL Reinforced Conference. Stay tuned. You're watching the game. Welcome back. You're watching the game. Over at the PVL Reinforced Conference, the Choco Mucho Flying Titans and the Chery Tiggo Crossovers just had an exciting face-off at the Phil Sports Arena. Now to talk about this matchup and more, we have with us volleyball analyst Rex Intal. Great to have you here in the studio. Congratulations, naka-uniform ka pa.
And debut pa niya sa TV. Like
that's
actually
true.
covering on live TV, right?
And first time ko mag-guest dito as an analyst, not as a player.
Alright, so 2 debuts today.
I
Two
like
debuts
this.
today.
I like
TV
this. So
and then as an analyst.
We're
Pero
off to a great start.
kamusta naman yung experience mo actually covering the games and actually having yung TV time in the PVL, Rex?
Most of the time kasi kino-cover ko live stream. Dito lang tayo
Right.
sa studio.
Yeah.
Pero it was my first time this conference to cover the games sa Phil Sports Arena. And masabi ko talaga na it's more exciting, mas masaya manood.
Yeah.
Kasi if you watch sa TV, makikita mo lang talaga yung
what you see on TV.
What you see on screen.
Yeah.
Right.
Pero kapag nandun ka talaga live, makikita mo yung mga stare downs, makikita mo yung mga sinasabi ng mga players.
Mga fans.
Na hindi mo pwede sabihin on air.
Hindi talaga pwede. Promote ko na rin ng men's volleyball kasi kapag men's volleyball, maririnig mo yung mga trash talk nila sa net.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
ganyan. Pero sa women's, less trash talk din.
Let's just more of makuha na sa tingin.
Parang gusto ko manood
Oh,
yan.
that's true. I felt the exact same way sa totoo lang when I moved from doing Smart Giga Play to doing it in the venue. So I understand completely. Pero syempre, okay, so let's go talk about the entire tournament as a whole muna before going straight into this. Syempre, some of the usual suspects are performing well, some of the others are not. Pero para sa'yo, what's the biggest surprise or what's the biggest, I guess, the bright spot in this Reinforced Conference so far for you personally?
I believe right now sa Reinforced Conference, medyo magulo yung standings.
Yeah.
Kasi maraming, hindi mo pa rin alam kung sino yung mag-fill in dun sa top 4 or yung mag-advance sa next round. Kasi like, ang daming teams na nag-start not particularly well pero promising in, moving forward. Like, nandiyan yung F2 na they're now healthy.
Yeah.
Si Makandili nakabalik na and parang bumalik yung fierce and nakakatakot na F2.
Yeah, yung angas nila, yung swag for better lack of a term. It's back.
Yun nga, kahit yung Choco Mucho, they came from a loss. It was still a close game. And ako, coming from Coach Oliver's system, I believe in his system.
Yeah.
And ang top kasi ngayon sa conference, we have Chery, Tiggo, who's unbeaten. They're 4-0. And Creamline, they're 2-0. So ako, personally, ilalagay ko na sila sa top 4.
Yeah.
So magkakagulo talaga kung sino yung next 2 na susunod doon. Kasi nandiyan yung Akari, Choco Mucho, F2. Ang dami pang pwede mag-step up.
And let's try to focus a bit more on Chery kasi nga, you mentioned that they're undefeated. What have they been doing well this conference in the PVL?
Sobrang nakakatuwa panoorin itong Chery Tiggo kasi they're undefeated even without Dindin Manabat.
Yes.
Dindin Manabat, naglaro siya kanina pero she's clearly not 100%. Kasi hindi pa siya nakatalo ng ganong kataas pero she delivered well. Tapos, ang maganda dito is yung import nila, hindi siya yung mga top import. Hindi siya yung dominant.
Right.
So,
Kasi,
which leads me to my, sorry to cut you off, it leads me to this simple question. How good is Mylene Paat? Kasi grabe talaga.
The import slayer.
Ito, si Mylene, 25 points a while ago. EJ Laure also having great conference, by the way, 15 points a while ago. Pero si Mylene, different level.
Mylene Paat siya yung pinaka-consistent all throughout the game. First set to fourth set, she was consistent. And gaya nga na sabi nyo, ang dami niya nicknames. Import Slayer,
Mama P.
Kanina, yung Mama P, Mysterious. Mysterious.
That's pushing it. Pero sige.
My, pwede rin.
Pero isa sa mga gusto ko doon yung Paat Chara porn. Kasi
Yes.
para siyang Thai import.
Yeah.
Kung maglaro siya, she plays like an import. And parang yung naging duel kanina was Alieva of Choco Mucho and Mylene Paat, a local player dito sa Chery Tiggo. And she showed resiliency, she showed heart. Kasi latter part ng fourth set, she was cramping up na.
Yes, she was.
She was cramping up.
That's
and
tough.
sinabi niya sa coach niya na, huwag niyo ako ilabas, kaya ko. Pero she was stretching,
Yeah.
she was clearly cramping up. Pero
And that's hard to do, especially in a sport where you're jumping.
Jumping
Yeah.
out.
Like
Pag basketball,
3/4
pwede
time.
mo ilaban kasi you're just running. But volleyball, you're gonna
Yeah,
jump
you're jumping.
every time.
Yeah.
kaya may time nga na sinet sa kanya, pero pinalo na lang niya nakatayo kanina kasi
Yeah.
di
wala
na
na,
talaga
wala
kaya.
na kaya. And just so, for those wondering who won that duel against Alieva, in terms of like scoring at least, itong si Mylene outscored the Import 25-21. Now, going on to that final matchup, so, just in for those who don't know yet, I'm sure you're accidentally watching this show if you were watching the volleyball kanina. Pero F2 beat PLDT in straight sets. And again, talking about the health a while ago, wala si Kalemao, but then it just feels like this looks like the old team that would win domestic championships before they joined the PBL.
Yeah, kasi F2 is known for their floor defense, hindi lang sa attacking. And major part of their floor defense is Don Macandili.
Right.
Yeah.
And gaya nga nangyari ngayon, nung simula na nakabalik siya, F2 has been performing well and they won the last 2 games.
Yeah, and as much as we love si Chang Abi for trying to be a libero, Don is a different level. Sorry, Chang. And of course, si Fardo then also tried to be libero, as well as Ziervasio. But then you look at the standings that we have so far, and as you mentioned, still a couple of undefeated teams, and you're not sure who would make it to the top 4. But would you be surprised kung umabot tayo sa last day, hindi pa tayo sigurado kung sino yung 3 or 4 spots?
Para sa akin, labanan na to kung ng conditioning and kung kailang magpipeak yung team. Kasi ang laking factor nung kung kailan nagpipeak yung team, yung sabay-sabay kayo nagpipeak. And malaki yung chance talaga na aabot sa last day kung sino magde-determine.
Wow,
It's gonna be
excited.
very
Top 4.
interesting.
And there will be heartbreaks for sure,
Yeah.
and wild celebrations on the other end. Rex, maraming salamat. Really
Thank you
appreciate
also.
you.
Thanks, Rex. Of course, you can catch the 2022 PVL Reinforced Conference live on One Sports, One Sports Plus, Signal Play, and Smart Gigaplay every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Diego Dario.
Catch us weeknights here on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus. I'm Paulo Del Rosario, and this has been The Game.